Okay, so if you've ever managed a Linux server, you know that heart-stopping moment when it just disappears. It's a super common problem. But you know what? The solution is often way simpler than you think. In this explainer, we're going to build your essential digital first aid kit so you can diagnose and fix those network issues fast.
All right, picture this. A critical server is completely unreachable. Your phone's probably blowing up. Panic starts to creep in, right? Where do you even begin? Well, don't worry. We're going to walk through this exact scenario step by step. So here's our game plan. First up, we'll assemble our networking first aid kit. Then we'll learn how to check the server for a pulse. After that, we're going to inspect its network ID, listen for any active connections, and finally, I'll show you exactly how to apply the fix by setting an IP address. Let's do it.
Look, every good troubleshooter has their go-to toolkit, right? For Linux networking, that means knowing a few absolutely essential commands. These are the tools that will get you out of pretty much any jam, so let's get started.
First things first, when a machine goes dark, you've got to check for a pulse. Is it even alive on the network? For that, our go-to tool is the simple but oh so powerful ping command.
And it is incredibly easy to use. You just type ping and then a destination you know should be online, like a big website or maybe another server you control. Think of it like shouting hello into the void and just listening for an echo.
And if you get a response, it'll look something like this. This line right here, that's the echo you were waiting for. It is solid proof that your server can in fact talk to the outside world.
So let's break this down real quick, because it tells us a lot. That time value, that's your latency. Basically, how fast the connection is. Lower is always better. And TTL, or time to live, that's a neat little safety feature that stops data packets from just bouncing around the internet forever.
So here's the bottom line. Getting replies means your basic network connection is solid. But if you see an error like destination host unreachable, you know there's a problem somewhere along the line. Now, a little pro tip for you. Sometimes a firewall might be set up to block these ping requests. So if you really think the machine is online but not responding, that's definitely something to check out.
Okay, so what if ping fails? Where do you go from there? Well, the first suspect is often the server itself. Does it even have a network identity? It's time to check its digital ID card.
Now, this is a perfect example of how Linux tools evolve over time. For years, ifconfig was the command everyone used, but it's now considered old school or deprecated. The modern, much more powerful replacement is IP. So just typing IPA is the current and correct way to see all your network interfaces and their IP addresses.
All right, so our server has an IP address. We're making progress. The next question is, are any services actually running and listening for connections? I mean, a web server might have an IP, but if the web service isn't running, it's not doing anyone any good.
And hey, just like with ifconfig, there's an old way and a new way to do this. The classic tool was netstat, but its modern replacement, SS, is way faster and gives you more detail. It's actually part of the same toolkit as the IP command, so it's the one you'll want to use on any modern system. Think of these four letters, TULN, as your secret handshake with the SS command. They tell it to show you exactly what you need, all the listing TCP and UDP ports displayed as numbers to make it faster. This is how you can see in a flash if services like your web server or SSH are actually open for business.
Okay, let's say we've cracked the case. We ran our diagnostics and, aha, the network interface is missing its IP address. Now we switch from detective mode to doctor mode. It's time to perform the procedure and assign one.
So, using our trusty IP command, we can fix this in just 3 steps. First, we assign the IP address and its subnet mask. That /24 part just tells it the size of the local network. Second, we have to turn the interface on using IP link set up. And third, we tell it how to reach the internet by adding a default gateway. This is a super quick temporary fix to get your server back online right now.
But, and this is a huge but, this fix is just a temporary patch. The second you reboot this server, all the settings we just punched in, poof, they're gone. To make it stick, we need to make a permanent change.
And this is where the permanent fix gets a little different depending on what flavor of Linux you're running. On newer systems like Ubuntu, you'll be editing a NatPlan file, which uses a really simple format called YAML. On older systems like CentOS, you'll be looking for a configuration file in the network scripts directory. The key takeaway here is to know which method your system uses so your settings actually survive a reboot.
So let's just take a second and look at the awesome toolkit you've just put together.
With just a handful of commands, you can now diagnose and fix the most common networking problems you'll run into on Linux.
This right here, this is your go-to cheat sheet. Ping to check for a pulse, IPA to check the ID, ssys to listen for a heartbeat, and IP address and IP link to perform that emergency surgery. These 5 commands are your new best friends.
So why does all this matter? I mean, really. Because it doesn't matter if you're managing one server in your closet or a whole fleet of instances in the cloud. These fundamental skills are the absolute bedrock of it all. Mastering them gives you the confidence to build, manage, and fix pretty much anything on the network.
With these tools, we've basically handed you the keys to the kingdom, or at least the network. The foundation is set. So what problem are you going to be ready to solve the next time a server goes dark?